welcome to the Purlsbeforethyme knitting podcast. I'm Elise. So if you're new, welcome. If you're a subscriber or you've been here before, welcome back. So I thought I would just share a little bit about what I've been up to, because I feel like I haven't had a check-in in a little while. And today I'm going to talk about everything I've made by PetiteKnit and why I probably won't be making any more PetiteKnit. So here we go. Apologies if the lighting's a little bit dull. We had a storm last night and it's still just raining, but if I waited for good lighting every time I filmed, there would be several periods of like weeks would go by without good enough lighting. So we're gonna deal with this as it is. So if some of you saw my last video, I had just finished a test knit for Fiber Tales. So I've, so that's what most of May was taken up doing, which was this beautiful top. It's still, I'm not sure if it has a name yet, but it's a beautiful V-necked t-shirt worked from the bottom up with I-cord details and crochet along the bottom, which is really sweet. So if you want a really lovely summer top, I would recommend getting this pattern when it's released. I think it'll be soon. And then the main focus of my time, once that was finished, I'm very much into summer patterns at the moment because I'm being optimistic for summer, but I'm also planning a trip away in the summer and I would like to have some self-handmade knits to wear when I'm away in the hot weather. So this is my other summer top. It looks very top-like, but what it is a sleeve-to-sleeve t-shirt worked flat. I mentioned this pattern in my summer pattern video where I talked about summer patterns. So, sorry, this is going to make a bit of annoying noise, but yes, so this is, as you can see, it's quite clearly a t-shirt. So this is the sleeve, it's quite oversized, and then you increase for the body, and then you just work the front and the back separately. So I'm working, I think it's the front. I don't think it really matters because it's totally symmetrical. There's no difference between the front and the back. So this is, the design is the Hae, H-A-E, or Hae maybe, Tee by Aegyo Knit. It's worked in 2 strands of Trio 1 by Isaga held together. And my main color is the shade Linen. And then the contrast color is white. So it's a little bit of a low contrast version, but I am really enjoying it so far. I think it'll be very versatile and go with a lot of things. And I really like a boat neckline, I realized. So I've made one other sleeve-to-sleeve pattern previously, and I just think it suits me very well. So I'm looking forward to doing this and getting this finished. One thing I will say is the yarn is, I guess, not the best word, but it's very stringy. And I've already had a few incidents where it's been tangled and I spent like an hour detangling it. So yeah, I've put it in little bags now and hopefully that gets it under control. But when I bought this, the lady at the yarn store was like, oh, this yarn, be careful. It will, yeah, form knots very easily because it's very fine. It's, I mean, this, I think it's lace weight. It's not lace weight. Maybe it's like super light fingering. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I've been working on, and that's been really fun. But today I'm going to talk about PetiteKnit. So for those of you who don't know, PetiteKnit is one of the biggest names in the knitting design community. She's a Danish designer who lives in Denmark, and I think she has 5 children. And I read on her website that I think she was studying to be a doctor and then she dropped out to pursue knitting full-time because it ended up being quite lucrative for her, and She is, you know, a powerhouse, and she designs, her output is huge. She puts out designs all the time, and I would say her main success is obviously she does basic, simple, everyday patterns well, and a lot of variations on everyday basic patterns. So if you want, you know, a crew neck sweater that's raglan, she has several different things in different gauges. If you want, you know, a sweater with a turtleneck, she's got lots of different options. She's got so many things. And then most of her sweater patterns also have like a kids version and a slipover version, and you know, there's a lot of, yeah, stockinette stitch, I would say, is a big thing in her design. But anyway, I think she was the first big designer that I really got aware of, because her patterns are obviously everywhere. You go to a knitting shop, they will have PetiteKnit patterns. So when I got back into knitting in like 2020, I wonder why I got back into knitting in 2020, along with half the world. The first cardigan I ever made properly was this one. And this is a very ambitious thing, I think, in retrospect, but I'm really pleased with it. It is the September sweater by PetiteKnit. It is an all over brioche sweater, and it yeah, I think it started at the top of the back, and then you gradually add the shoulder panels, then you join under the arms, then you work flat, then you add the sleeves. So most of it is brioche worked flat, and then some of it is brioche worked in the round, and then you add these button bands. But the button bands are folded over, and you don't need to make any buttonholes, because the type of buttons she used for this are these snap closures, and I have taken most of mine off. I did originally do these in the pattern, not the pattern, in the buttons that were recommended in the pattern that she uses, the like bling buttons, but I just found they were just a bit heavy, the buttons themselves, that because like you have a snap closure and then you have like a little button that you sew on the front, and yeah, they weren't really me. I didn't really like them, so I've kept some of the snap closures, just the top ones really, because it's a very hot sweater. It's 2 strands of mohair and 1 strand of merino held together, so it's not a light, like, yeah, it's not a very like summery pattern. It's very much like, oh, there's a breeze, you need something, this will keep you warm. So yeah, I made mine in this sort of nude pink shade, and I really like it. So yeah, it's a nice, beautiful, simple jacket. I don't wear it as much as I would like to, but I do really like it. My most worn PetiteKnit pattern is my favorite. I've worn this in a video before, but I love it so much. It's my balloon cardigan, which is in this lovely like green shade. It's like aqua green, and this is honestly one of my most worn knits. I wear it all the time. It's got these little balloon sleeves, and I made a size bigger than I think I should have, really, just because I was like, oh, I want it to be really like cozy and loose. I think if I made it again, I would just stick to the sizing. I think this is a large, but it is so cozy and comfy, and I managed to find these beautiful, like, I don't think they're mother of pearl, but there's some kind of shell button that happened to match the shade of the yarn nearly exactly, and this is made in Knitting for Olive merino and Isagar silk mohair. So I actually saw someone make this cardigan in this color on Instagram, and I was like, what colors are those? I need to replicate it, and no regrets, it's gorgeous. So yeah, this goes with me to work, on holiday, to the beach, wherever. It is a lot less heavy than this one in terms of warmth, so it's yeah, a bit easier to wear, I think. most of the time you don't get like super sweaty in this. And it's very open and loose, so it has a lot of airflow. So I love this pattern. Everyone should make this, I think. And then I have the, this was, all of these patterns I'm showing you now I made in the first 4 or 5 months of me knitting, so end of 2020, early 21. And then this is the No Frills sweater by PetiteKnit, which is a very, very simple top-down raglan with, yeah, simple rib neckline, simple rib cuffs, just simple rib and stockinette all the way. I think there's a few short rows at the beginning, but it's honestly one of the like most basic crew neck sweater patterns. And this is made in Filcolana Arwetta and a variegated mohair, which is sort of purple with bits of dark purple, like more violet, and then tiny bits of like blue. And that's dyed by a Norwegian dyer called Garn Perler. And yeah, I think the shade was Andromeda. So this is also well used. I think I went through a little purple phase. I'm not quite in the purple phase at the moment, but this is also a very nice, wearable, lightweight, everyday kind of jumper. And yeah, it's had a lot of use, and I think it will still get quite a bit of use. The other pattern that I've made by PetiteKnit multiple times, but I don't actually have any, is the Oslo hat. I've made at least 3 of those and given them away. So yeah, that's everything I've made by PetiteKnit. So it's only 4 patterns and 3 big garments, but the reason I kind of stopped making PetiteKnit is I think PetiteKnit is a great gateway to the wider knitting community and discovering other designers. And even though like I follow her and everything and I see all the new releases, what I would say is like there's always a design in that sort of category that stands out to me more than PetiteKnit's version. So for example, she has a lot of really nice basic striped sweater patterns. Like I think she has the Leon sweater and the Marseille sweater, and those are really nice. They're just straightforward, everyday, simple stockinette patterns. But I think there's just something about designers that take a traditional design and then put their own spin on it and make it a bit more modern that really appeals to me. So, for example, in the striped sweater category, I think if I were to make one, I would definitely make the Direction Loop sweater by Other Loops, which just has the added detail that there's this sort of shoulder panel that goes along the top of the back where the stripes go downwards, and then the rest of the sweater, they go horizontal. So you just have this little added, you know, section where you have perpendicular stripes, and that just adds a little bit more whimsy and a little bit like, oh, it's not just your everyday striped sweater, it's got a little bit more technique and it's a different construction. And I'm always excited about new constructions of sweaters. So I think with PetiteKnit is the constructions are very predictable. Like it's always going to be a raglan or like stockinette where you just like start at the back, you add shoulders, you join under the shoulders kind of thing. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I think other designers add a little bit extra, a little bit of whimsy, a little bit of a detail that will appeal to me much more. So I have a few examples of like PetiteKnit designs and then what I would swap them for. So I said about like a stripy sweater, I would do the Direction Loop sweater. She has a really nice, PetiteKnit has a zipper sweater design, which is just like, you know, a quarter zip pullover, and it's very popular. I was tempted to make it for a while, and then if you've heard of a designer called Le Poule, or I don't know if it's like Le Poule or Le Poule, but I think she's French, and she came out with a zipper sweater, and it's also called zipper sweater. I looked this up. It's got a different shape around the zip, more of a kind of sporty kind of look. It's a sort of, instead of just having like, you know, stockinette with a zip in it, she has this kind of like V shape built around the zip that I think is really cool. So if I were going to make a zip sweater, I'd make that one. Her version is stripy, but you don't need to make it stripy. I think it's nice just in one color as well. And then cable sweaters. When PetiteKnit came out with the Moby sweater, I was like, oh, maybe I'll make this. It's a really nice, simple cable sweater pattern. It's got some cables, it's got some trellis stitch, and it's got like moss stitch in between, I think. And I was like, oh, here's one that I might cast on. I might make this. And then I had a look at all my other favorite cable sweaters, and I was like, oh no, it doesn't appeal as much as these others. So sweaters that I really like that are cabled are the Billie pullover by Sari Nordlund. That one is so beautiful. It's all over cables. It's super gorgeous. But I do really like that sort of trellis stitch, and I know that Skall Studio, which is a Danish fashion brand, but they have a sort of knitting department where you can either buy a finished sweater from them, or you can buy the pattern and you can buy yarn and everything. But they have a beautiful design, I think it's called the Oda vest, ODA, and that has a really nice combination of trellis and cable that isn't super different to Moby, but it's just a combination that I like more. And my really go-to pattern that I will make from there is the Magda sweater, and I saw knitters on Instagram testing this like 2 years ago, and then the pattern just wasn't coming out, and I wrote to these testers like, do you guys know about the release date? And they were like, no, sorry. I wrote to the brand, they're like, oh, soon. And I'm like, finally came out this year, so I'm really stoked. That one has just some really lovely cables. I'll put pictures of everything in. So yeah, those are three that I prefer to the Moby, which is, yeah, the Billie pullover, and then the Magda and the Oda from Skall. And then let's say you want, oh, I'm missing a V-neck cardigan in my wardrobe. I'm not, but if you are, like PetiteKnit has the April cardigan, she has the champagne cardigan, which isn't exactly a V-neck, it's just kind of just, it happens to have a V, it's not like a V-neck, but I'd say the April cardigan is a V-neck cardigan. And she has the Stockholm one, which is also a V-neck you can do. But a lot of them have quite a big section of ribbing around the neck, which I'm not so keen on. So as an alternative for a V-neck cardigan, I would probably go for the Cardi jumper by Ines Oliveira, which has been on my favorites list for a long time. It's just got a really like cutesy, elegant, simple silhouette that I really like. And then last but not least, let's talk about the Sophie scarf and the Sophie shawl. So the Sophie scarf is honestly like so popular. Some people just make these and make these and make these. They're great gifts. I have never made one, and I don't really want to make one. I think, oh yeah, a scarf with Aegyo detailing, I like that. A small little scarf that you can just tuck in a handbag, I really like that. But an Aegyo scarf just in garter stitch, just, I don't know, it just doesn't, you know, spark the joy in me like other things do. But now I'm going to be a bit cheeky, and I'm going to say that instead of a Sophie scarf, this is my own design that I came up with a few years ago. And this is a I-cord scarf, I-cord edged scarf, and it's also a short little scarf that, you know, just goes around the neck once, maybe twice if you're lucky. And it is got this beautiful sort of staggered cable pattern that I love so much, and I named this pattern the Gaelle scarf. I think it's the pattern that I've designed that I'm the most proud of in a way, because I think, I don't know, I still love the look of it. I think it's just like, you know, a little elegant, pretty scarf. So I know it's not, you know, a quick, like it is quick, but it might not be as easy as a Sophie scarf. But, you know, if I have to choose a short scarf with an I-cord edge, I would choose this one. I also, this one I didn't make, but this is also a small scarf with I-cord edge category, which was kindly made for me by Friday Morning Natasha from Australia. She's a knitter I met via an Instagram like giveaway thing. We had to give each other, we did like a knitting exchange. So she made me this beautiful Colette scarf by Sari Nordlund. I've worn this a few times. It's also got cables and some eyelets, and I like it so much. So this is also, you know, beautiful gift, and yeah. So those are alternatives to the Sophie scarf. And then the Sophie shawl, just a big chunk of garter, which is nice. And I do like shawls with a lot of garter, and because, you know, if a shawl, like especially a big shawl, has a lot of very complex pattern in it, like lace or yeah, patterns where you have to concentrate, I find that a bit demotivating because it slows you down. But I made this shawl, which is the Limelight shawl by, it's completely different construction to the Sophie shawl, but you know, I'm going with it. Shawls with garter stitch. So this is the Limelight shawl by Johanna, and it's got these big stockinette sections in the beige, and then there's these little lace sections in between that just add a little bit of interest. So yeah, I think PetiteKnit, you know, is a big part of my knitting journey. She got me back into knitting. She designs really nice things. It's just that I don't think they match my personal style anymore, and I just, yeah, I think they're just too simple a lot of the time. Like, I know she has a few patterns that are exceptions to the sort of very simple silhouettes. Like she has the oh, is it the Jenny sweater and the Jenny jacket, which are so much work. Like as soon as I saw the number of wrap stitches you have to do for that, I was just like, no, I don't have the patience to do that. I've done a couple of patterns where you have to do like wrap stitches. I've done the Couture beret and the Couture sweater, and each of those had like 2 rounds where you have to do wrap stitches. And I was like, no, I don't think I could do that for an entire sweater or an entire cardigan. I just would be driven mad, I think, by that. And yeah, I think that's all I really have to say on PetiteKnit. I hope she continues her success, and I hope she continues to inspire people, because she really does. She, I think, you know, the more people knitting, the better. And yeah. But anyway, so that is my little PetiteKnit video. I hope you, oh, sorry, I've just had a bit of a brain stop. But yeah, anyway, I hope you are all having fun working on lovely projects. Hopefully your weather is better than mine is. I really want to get this t-shirt finished as soon as possible. I'm so excited for it. And I really hope the weather shifts so I can wear it outside before autumn anyway. If you want to find me on other social media platforms, I have Instagram and I'm on Ravelry at Purlsbeforethyme. I will put links to all the patterns mentioned down below. So if you're like, oh, what was that thing she mentioned? It'll be down there. So yeah, so hopefully you're all having a good time, and I'll see you next time. Bye.